Happy day to all. This is Dr. Shakila Banu, Associate Professor from Jamal Institute of Management, Jamal Mehmet College, Trichy. Now we are going to discuss about the northwest corner method. So before discussing the northwest corner method, we have to know the concept whether this problem is related to the balanced or unbalanced problem. So for finding the balanced or unbalanced problem, the total of the supply should be equal to the total of this demand. Here the total of the supply is 1000 as well as the total of the demand is also 1000. So we had finalized that it is a balanced problem. Regarding the northwest corner method, the allocation should be start from the north side, that is from the top. So here we have to compare the total, that is we have to compare the demand total along with the O1 total. Here the 200 and 250, we have to decide which one is lowest. So I am selecting 200 as the lowest, so I am allocating for the 3. So next thing, we need to find out the balance, that is 250 deducted from 200 you are receiving as 50. So the next thing is here in D2 I am having the total of 300 and in O1 I am having the total of 50. So automatically we can allocate to D2 and O1. The lowest value is 50. So I am putting 50 and deducting from 300. So the balance is 250. Yeah. So here in case of O1 there is no total and in D1 here is also no total. So I am moving for D2 O2. Here the total is 250 and here it is 350. So automatically I am selecting the total as 250 which is the lowest value. So I am selecting 250 and allocated and finding the difference as 100. In case of D2, there is no total, but in case of O2, there is a total of 100. So I am allocating for 5 as 100 because I am comparing the 350 and 100. So 100 will be the lowest value and selected as 100. And the balance is 250. So the next thing is, here the total of O2 is nil. So I am moving for O3. So accordingly, D1 has no total, D2 is also have no total, but here D3 have 250. So I am allocating 250 and 400. The lowest is 250. So I am allocating 250 and finding the balance as 150. So here D3 is also have no total, but O3 have 150 as a total. So I am allocating to 150. So finally, I had allocated all the totals to all the cells. We need to find out the total cost root. How you are going to find out the total cost root is wherever we are allocated, that variable is considered and it should be added. Here O1 and D1, here I had allocated. So I am wrote as O1 into D1 plus O2 D2 because here 50 had been allocated. Next is O2 D2, O2 D3, O3 D3 and O3 D4. So I had to add all these variables because as the name itself says, it is a total. So after this, we have to find out the total cost. How you are going to find out the total cost is the values and the variables should be multiplied. In this cell, that is O1 D1, we have two values as 200 and 3. So that should be multiplied. And then O1 D2. Here we have the values as 50 and 1. That should be multiplied. Here I wrote like this. So 200 into 3 plus 1 into 50. Likewise, I had multiplied and totaled and find out the value of 3700. So this is about the initial feasible solution of northwest corner method. After this, we need to move on for the UV method. This UV method is also called as a Modi method. So this is about the UV method. From the table which we have found out in the initial, that allocation should be written here. As the name itself says as UV, so here the rows are considered as a U and the column variables are considered as a V. Before finding the UV method, the first thing is we need to find out the number of allocation. The formula for this is m plus n minus 1. Here m consists of number of rows and n consists of number of columns. So here the rows are 3 and columns are 4. And that should be added and deducted with 1. So the answer is 6. So here the number of allocation is also 6. So we can directly move on to the UV method. So for finding the UV method, the first thing is we need to find out the values of U1, U2, U3 as well as V1, V2, V3, V4. So how you are going to find out the values of U1 or V2? First, the allocation is, let me assume U1 as 0. For this, we have to apply a formula for the allocated cells. The formula for allocated cells is Ui plus Vj is equal to Cij. So what is the U? U stands for the row values and V stands for the column, and Cij is the values which is inside the cell. So like this, by applying the formula, we are need to find out the values of U1, U2, U3 and simultaneously V1, V2, V3 and V4. So here let we assume U1 is equal to 0. So here we had allocated the values in V1 and U1. So we can frame the formula as U1 plus V1 equal to Cij. That is U1 plus V1 equal to 3. So here I had applied U1 plus V1 equal to 3, where U1 is equal to 0 plus V1 I doesn't know, but Cij is 3. So V1 is equal to 3. Likewise, we are able to find out the values of V2 also. So for finding V2, the formula will be U1 plus V2 and the values is 1. So we know the U1 value is 0. So 0 plus V2 which is equal to 1. So V2 is equal to 1. V2 is equal to 1. So likewise, by repeating the same step, we are able to find out the value of U2. So the formula will be U2 plus V2 is equal to 6. So here we doesn't know the value of U2, but we know the value of V2 which is equal to 6. So simultaneously, we are able to find out the value of U2. Like 6 minus 1, I am receiving as 5. So like this, we are able to find out the values for others also. So by repeating the formulas, I had found out the values of U3 as 3, V3 is 0 and V4 is equal to minus 1. The next step we had to find out for unallocated cells. And the formula for unallocated cells is Ui plus Vj minus Cij is equal to Pij. As we know, Ui stands for the values of rows and Vj is values of columns and Cij is the value of the variables, that is the cell value. But here Pij is penalty value. Allocated cells are U1 V4, U2 V1, U2 V4 and U3 V1, U3 and V2 are the unallocated cells. So by applying the formula of unallocated cells, we are able to receive the values. First unallocated cell is U1 V3. So I had framed the formula as U1 plus V3 minus 7 because here it is a Cj value. The Cj value is the value inside the unallocated cells. So I am receiving U1 as 0 plus V3. Here V3 is also 0. Minus is a common factor and 7. So finally I am receiving as minus 7. By this, we have to find out the values of all unallocated cells. So for this I had received as -7, -5, 6, -5, -2 and 1. So here I have two positive values. So one is 6, another one is 1. So by comparing this, we have to select the highest positive value. According to this rule, I had selected 6 as a positive rule. So by this, we have to set the loop. The loop starting loop will be 6 and the value where cell allocated is O2 D1. So here O2 is considered as U2 and D1 will be here. So this will be the starting point. So after this we have to connect the allocated cells. So accordingly we can connect with like this. So I am connecting all these cells. So after this we have to set a positive and negative. The starting point will be the positive and the opposite direction will be the negative. So for this negative, the opposite direction will be positive. For this, the negative will be the opposite direction. So after that, we have to select the negative values, allocated values. Here the negative allocated value is 200 and 250. Then we have to compare which one is lower and the lower value should be selected. So accordingly 200 and 250 I am selecting as 200. So then the values of selected 200 should be added and deducted and frame a new table. So then I had added and deducted and framed a new table. After that we need to find out the values of allocated cells, unallocated cells which we already discussed. So the formula for allocated cell is ui plus vj minus cij, and accordingly I had found out the values of this u and v's. So by applying these formula, then I am selected for unallocated cells also and find out whether I reach the negatives for all. But unfortunately here I had received as one positive value. So this will be selected. The same step we have to set the loop also. So that selected one will be the positive. So the cell is U3 and V2. So I had joined the allocated cells and the same step I had repeated. After the negative, I had to select which one is lower. So 50 is the lower. So I am adding and deducting. So I had added and framed another table. Again I have to find out the allocated cells and unallocated cells. Accordingly, I had received the allocated cell values as 042 and for V 0110. After allocated cells, I have to apply the unallocated cell formula and find out the values whether I had received any penalty values. So here I had applied the unallocated cell values and I had reached all the values as penalty, that is the negative value. So I am able to find out the optimum feasible solution. For this I need to find out the total cost root. So here the total cost root is allocated values, that is here it is O1 D2 I had allocated, O2 D1, O2 D3, O3 D2, O3 D3 and O3 D4. As a name total we have to add all these things and we have to find out the total cost. So how I am going to find out the total cost is the values in the selected allocated cell should be multiplied. That is 250 should be multiplied with 1, 200 should be multiplied with 2, 150 should be multiplied with 5 and the same steps should be repeated. So finally I had added all these values and find out the value of 2400, which is a optimum feasible solution according to UV method. So this is about a northwest corner method, particularly a balanced problem, and UV method, that is the Modi method. So thank you.